All right, so the Buffalo Bills, of course, released John Brown and Quentin Jefferson, and it freed up $14 million in cap with a grand total, I think, around maybe $5 or $6 million in dead cap space. So the question is, who should the Buffalo Bills kind of release next? In my opinion, it's kind of the free agent acquisitions that they got last year, right? I think that Vernon Butler should be released. Now I know they restructured his contract, but I think he still costs around around I think $5 or $6 million in cap space. Which, if you look at some of the others, I mean, Josh Allen, if they release Josh Allen, which we all know that's never going to happen, that he is worth $6 million in cap if they do release him. So obviously at this point, Vernon Butler. Mario Addison, AJ Klein, all three of those guys together, that's over $25 million in free cap space if they do decide to release them. And all three of them together I think it's worth around $7 or $8 million in dead cap space. So, obviously I'm not a general manager. However, if you really look at the three players, which one of those three players had the biggest impact? It was AJ Klein. And really, AJ Klein, as far as his impact, was in 4 or 5 games when Matt Milano was hurt. Once Matt Milano was healthy, you didn't really see too much of AJ Klein. He was more of a rotational special teams type of player. And if they're going to continue to use AJ Klein in that role, then guess what? AJ Klein doesn't really need to really be here that much. I mean, again, he's a good special teams player. We all know that he is as an edge defender. He actually shocked me how good he was as an edge defender, and how they used him as this extra edge rusher. And he was definitely getting pressure on the quarterback. However, we don't need rotational players to be that to definitely cost us that much in cap space. We want impactful players, but we don't want them on the bench. We want them on the football field. And again, if all three of those players, if the Buffalo Bills do decide to release them, that's $25 million that you free up automatically in the cap. Again, I've said this before, Buffalo's plan to kind of just get players that fit the scheme. It kind of, it worked, but at the same time, it kind of backfired. Because even though the Buffalo Bills made it to the AFC Conference Championship, Brandon Beane, this organization, they all know they're not getting past Kansas City. You're not getting past Kansas City with this current roster right now. Kansas City is just too talented, too good. As we saw from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which had the talent to equal Kansas City's roster, both on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. Tampa Bay was really the only team to kind of beat them in that matter. I know people are going to say, well, the Oakland Raiders kind of do it. Yeah, they did, but they also beat them in a shootout. Buffalo has struggled. And I think a big reason why for that is really because their roster. Their roster is good, but is not really championship quality level yet, or at least to get past Kansas City. So again, Vernon Butler, Mario Addison, AJ Klein, those three guys right there, in my opinion, the Buffalo Bills should consider what's their worth right now on the team, and are they really worth all this dead cap? I said it last year, they should have released Trent Murphy. Trent Murphy was $8 million in cap. He was $8 million in cap. It cost the Buffalo Bills there. They kept Trent Murphy because he fit the scheme, and he was more of a rotational player. Really didn't even make that much of an impact, if not any impact at all, on this Buffalo Bills football team. They should have released him last year. Hopefully we don't really see the same mistake of them kind of biting them in the ass going forward, but they need big name free agents. They can't keep getting rotational pieces, especially from the Carolina Panthers. They can't keep doing that. They need big name free agents. You look at the offseason last year. What was their biggest acquisition? Stephon Diggs, a big name. They need to do the same thing going into this year. And they released John Brown, which was a big name for the Buffalo Bills. We'll see if the Buffalo Bills can continue to do that moving forward.